Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Day's Podcast along with a new video. I want to thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, viewing, watching, and listening. I truly appreciate it. So I will definitely be making sure there's more on Patreon and Spotify alike. Happy September. We are in a whole new month. So yes, I want to be able to continue making sure there's free episodes and exclusive ones too. But today we are talking about Queen Latifah's Nature of a Sista, which is her second studio album. Let's get into it. So Nature of a Sista is the second studio album by Queen Latifah, released on September 3rd, 1991. So soon there's going to be an anniversary for this album. It was served as a follow-up to her 1989 debut, All Hail the Queen, and was her final album with Tommy Boy Records. Latifah was an executive producer for Nature of a Sista alongside American producer Shakim Compere. Although predominantly a hip-hop album, it includes elements of reggae, jazz, R&B, new jack swing, and house music. The lyrics of the album songs revolve around gender politics and romance. While discussing the album's overall style, Latifah said she moved away from hardcore hip-hop to experiment with other music genres and have more creative control over her work. So that was another thing. With female rappers, there was a sense of wanting to experiment. That wasn't something that just came out the blue by the 2010s. No, that was always a thing. That was a thing even before the 90s was going on, in the midst of the 90s. Like, they wanted to do that. And it took special people, special rappers later on by the late 90s going into the 2000s. I'm not naming them all. Y'all should know them. I may talk about them if I haven't already. But it took them to really kind of branch out too. To really do a lot more and to showcase, versatility. I'm not sure how to say that word sometimes. I be saying words and I may not pronounce them right, but y'all know what I mean. Reviews of the album were mixed. Some music critics praised Latifah's verses and the album's variety of musical styles, while others felt it was a poor follow-up to All Hail the Queen. It peaked at number 117 on the Billboard 200 chart and sold over 500,000 copies worldwide. 3 singles, Fly Girl, How Do I Love Thee, and Latifah's Handed Up to Here, were released and promoted through accompanying music videos. All the songs made appearances on Billboard charts. Following the release of the album, Latifah was dropped from Tommy Boy Records due to low sales. So that has happened. Doesn't matter whether it's rap, R&B, pop, alternative rock. There's labels that may be small, maybe big, that just be like, all right, well, we had expectations for you, and this isn't going to work. And it's terrible because it's just like there was so much invested, and now, yeah, that money spent. The era is done, and a new one has to begin at some point in some way, and we have to find some way to generate more money for this era because this era got to pop. Okay, but yeah, I feel for anyone that ever were to be dropped from a label, because even down to when I have spoken about independent artists, there's that route. You can be independent. You can be able to do it all yourself. Have bundles to where you can merchandise everything, do all of it yourself. It's a lot of work, but you get all the residuals back. I mean, you don't got to worry about, anyone telling you, don't tour here, or, we can't do this here. Why? My fans are booking and wanting me, and if this is going to be the way for it to sell out, it's my way. Okay, and I think that's the way a lot of artists may now be doing it, because there's a lot going on. A lot going on. But yeah, due to the success of Queen Latifah's debut studio album, All Hail the Queen, which was released in 1989, which sold approximately 450,000 copies, the New York Times said they believed Latifah had become a representative for young black women in a media hungry for someone articulate, political, and savvy about feminism, but not confrontational. Yeah, so they was feeling as though, the songs were putting a sense to like it didn't do bad. It just wasn't. I've said this before. Yeah, like from what I'm seeing here, um, the album was generally well received. Um, the verses were praised. Describes its songs as showing her softer, more feminine side. Like this was an album where you're coming into the sense of who Queen Latifah is personally, and also transitioning to doing a little bit more as we get to know her more outside of music. So from what I'm seeing, it wasn't a bad album. It didn't do too bad. For the product itself, as far as how well the sales were, of course. But yeah, it says that she was removed from Tommy Boy Records due to the album's low sales. Miss Krista of SoulBounce.com attributed the poor commercial performance to the absence of American producer DJ Mark the 45 King, who had previously worked with Latifah on All Hail the Queen. A writer for Vibe believed Nature of the Sista would have sold better if it had been promoted as an R&B release. So that was another thing. And I'm gonna keep reading. According to Latifah, the album's commercial performance was representative of how female rappers get fewer resources than men. She said, "People wonder why girls don't go platinum, but a lot of the time we don't get the same money for marketing and promotion, and that's just a straight up fact." And that's what I was getting to, because it can stem down to a label dropping you because they're not getting enough sales, but then it can stem deeper to where it's like, all right, well, this guy here, at least he made it past 70. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You put more money in this person. That means that they're going to possibly chart more because there's more invested in the sense of how the era can go. And I've said this before. And, for marketing and promotion, that's a serious thing. Like when you hear someone at that time talking on the radio saying, yeah, you guys need to get this new album, Nature of a Sista by Queen Latifah. Like when you hear people promoting on the radio, or whether there may be a promotion on music music videos being pushed more to be looked at. There were just more ways that could have been handled for not just her, for a lot of people. According to a writer from the Boombox, music critics had started to ask whether Latifah was more focused on developing crossover appeal rather than creating rap music, partially because of the release of Nature of a Sista. Music critics interpreted her 1993 follow-up album, Black Rain, as a way to deliver something that cemented her credibility as an artist. So this is what my sense of understanding would be here. And it's weird to say it like this, but it's kind of true in a way. It's almost like from what she had did in the beginning with her first album, they would have wanted this later, from what I'm hearing. And it's like, you can't force or assume or think that someone needs to just be this way. But at that time, what was being pushed and what people would want people to view or felt like what was cool, they would gravitate towards. And so it's also the sense of timing. Like, when you're releasing an album on certain dates, and there isn't a sense of this particular artist probably not doing as much yet, as opposed to what they probably are going to do, or have done already. So it's just, I don't know. It's a mixture of things. But let's get into the track list. So track 1 is Latifah's "Had It Up to Here." Track 2 is "Enough of the Rough Stuff." Track 3 is "One More Time." Track 4 is "Give Me Your Love." Track 5 is "Love Again." Track 6 is "Bad as a Mother." Track 7 is "Fly Girl." Track 8, "Sexy Fancy." Track 9, "Nature of a Sista." Track 10, "That's the Way We Flow," featuring Safari Sister Swatch. Track 11, "If You Don't Know," and then track 12, "How Do I Love Thee." So my thing is, both albums, her first and second album here, have 12 tracks. And so I think about the fact of, yeah, even if they were to have put more tracks on the album, it really would have stemmed to how much would have been able to have been invested. Marketing, promotion, all that. So it's like, a lot of times when I've seen in this era of time in the 90s where people may release, less songs or just as much songs or more songs, there could be the sense of people wanting more from that. But I believe that, when there was less songs, there was more at the time that people would want from you. But then when you gave them more songs, it's like, well, wait a minute now. This is so much, But yeah, this overall for me, this wasn't a bad album. I think, like I said, with her debut, it was her growing as an artist. It was her growing as honestly, a public figure too, and just really being able to stem out and yes, possibly act and do more in the world. And I appreciate her. So, but I thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I'll be back with more.